Hello everyone out there, welcome back to the Phantoms Fanatic YouTube channel. I am back with another review, and this review is of Missing, released this year in 2023. Starring Nia Long, Storm Reid, Megan Shuri, Ken Luing, I don't know how to pronounce his name, David Henney, and Joaquin de Almeida, and it was directed by Nicholas D. Johnson and Will Merrick. The movie follows June as when her mother and her new boyfriend goes off to a vacation to South America. A week later, when she goes to pick them up at the airport, they don't show up and they go missing, part of the ING series, this with Searching. And because she can't leave the house and go investigate in South America, she tries to figure out what happened to her mother and her boyfriend. And so this is a pseudo-sequel to Searching, and it's a sequel in a way that Searching was another missing persons case that happened in this universe, and we're just following another person dealing with a missing person case. Obviously, the roles are swapped here. Child looking for the parent instead of the parent looking for the child, and they reference things from the first movie, like they have the UCAS thing show up a few times. There's like a true crime reenactment show that the main character watches of the first movie, and there's even little things that connect to the first movie in just the backgrounds, because this is still told from webcast desktop perspectives. And this film, I will say, is a sequel in the right way. It takes a similar concept to the first movie, but just doesn't redo it, switching up one thing, the parent being missing instead of the child being missing, even though that's the main consent of this. It does switch up a good amount of things from the first movie. I will say this movie does try to do a lot of things different, and that's one thing that I give this movie, is because this film has a way bigger budget than the first one. The first one was made for $800,000. This one, I think, had a budget of like $8 million. And you can tell because they get really ambitious in a lot of areas with what they can do with the desktop perspective. And I don't think it works entirely to their benefit, especially the climax of this film, which kind of turns into a Lifetime thriller, but from a desktop perspective. And I'm like, kudos on them for being risky and trying something different. I just don't know if the whole plot jives together. But let's talk about other things first. The acting in this is all very good all around. Storm Reid proves herself as a good actress. She did a very similar performance in Wrinkled in Time, and her performance in that was one of my favorite parts of that film. In this, yes, she's very good in this. Most of the actors are very good in this, including the mom's boyfriend, the mom herself. One of my favorite side characters is Joaquin de Lamero, I think is what I said. He plays this Uber-esque business person she hires to help her, who lives in South America, and she hires him to try to find out what is happening down there for her mother. And I really enjoyed his performance in this. He really is very likable and very entertaining anytime he's on screen in this. And he even has a side plot with him and his son being a bit distant, and I like that. And the relationship between him and Storm Reid are so tight and nice. I like all of that. And I will say the story in this, as I said, tries to do something different instead of just switching up the roles. Which, yes, when I saw the trailer, I was like, is this just going to be the same thing? I was genuinely surprised that they did do something different here. They make more red herrings show up, but it's more misdirective red herrings than the first movie. I like that. The fact that you think the plot's going one way, but they switch it up. And I feel like that works insanely well with the plot in this. And I do feel like, yet again, as I praised the first movie for having good film editing and scoring, same thing goes for this one. The editing carries a lot of this film, and that's obvious. And I like how they do find new creative ways to add photos and people interacting on screen without it just being on FaceTime. You have a security camera at the front of the door, little security cameras set up for the climax so you can see everything that's happening. And I like how it zooms out from another person's perspective to see that somebody else was watching this person on their laptop the entire time. I'm like, that is a very clever way of going at it. And I like that it does commentary on like conspiracy TikToks and YouTube things about like the mother maybe being a part of this, but Storm Reid gets upset about that. That was one aspect of the first film that I didn't mention in my review, was what I liked is everybody started blaming the father, and even quote-unquote friends of his daughter in that were acting like they had such a bigger relationship to get more fame and clout. They do a similar thing in this, which I really do enjoy. Where I think the movie does fault, in my opinion, I think the film, for the most part, keeps you relatively engaged and entertained throughout. And the mystery itself has some good setup and payoffs, and I bet if I see this a second time, I'll notice a lot of extra things that I would enjoy. But it does get lifetime thrillery at the end, especially with the reveals going on. But I like the message that they tell with that, which I'm not going to spoil because that'll just give away the ending. But I like kind of the message that they tell with that and little setups to things like that where it's a misdirection at the beginning. And I like that. The fact that going into this, I was expecting a very similar thing to Missing, but it misdirected me and shown that. And for the most part, the characters are pretty smart, but there's this thing about guessing a person's password, which I was like, how did you not guess that sooner? I'm not going to freak out about it. But, yeah, but most of the actors do a really good job in this, and I feel like they keep you entertaining. And as I said, I don't think the plot necessarily works out in the best ways, unlike the first movie, where I said there was just like a little thing here and there that that upset me in the plot, but I liked the side plot of him discovering that he didn't really know his daughter. I don't feel as emotionally connected in this. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm glad they made it out, and that everything is happy for their relationship and it's sealed, but I was like, compared to the first movie where that ending really made me cry, and the first 5 minutes of that film really made me cry, almost made me cry. I don't mean to be like a non-emotional dickhead when I say that, but in this, I don't feel as if it is good of an explanation as I thought it was in the first movie. And as I said, they do try something different, but it is a bit out there. They do get really risky with the filmmaking, and I feel like that is a bit of a detriment to it, but it works out for the most part. But I don't know, the film is still entertaining in my opinion. I never felt bored throughout it. I was relatively engaged and entertained throughout. Even though the ending I think is a bit ridiculous and lifetime thrillery, I was still entertained through it. So, yeah, the film, to whether I recommend this, if you saw the first one, liked it, you'll probably like this one as well. It's relatively entertaining. It's a good movie watch just for a hour and 40 minutes of entertainment. You connect with the characters just fine enough. The acting sells you on most of it. It's not as good as the first movie, but it's just slightly worse. I think it's mainly because of the mystery plot, and the relationship drama isn't as strong in this as it was in the first movie, which I understand. And I give kudos to the filmmakers for trying something different and being more ambitious with their format through a desktop perspective, but I don't feel like it works out as well. But anyways, what did you guys think of Missing? Do you think that it's way worse than the first film? Do you think it's maybe better than the first film? Leave your opinions in the comment section down below. If you have any other movies you guys want me to review, leave them down there as well. Please make sure to like, subscribe, check out the channel. We got the Meandering Conversations podcast and the Meandering Adventures D&D podcast, so make sure you check out both of those. Make sure to share and favorite the channel. I always like to see the growth of it. And yeah, the next review will be Knock at the Cabin, which will be out this week, and then the review after that hopefully will be my next in-depth review on Temple of Doom. But yeah, I will see you all next time.